3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer for arranging this important events about the abuses, human rights abuses in the Gulf, and focusing mainly in human rights abuses in Bahrain. As you know, we are approaching the Bahrain UPR, Universal Periodical Review, in May 2017, and this one gonna be the third UPR in Bahrain. So your events and your focus on the issue of human rights violations in Bahrain, it is at the right time, and I wish that you will come out with very solid recommendations which could be adopted with those countries who are following in close the human rights violation in Bahrain. In my short contribution to the event, I will focus mainly on the discrimination imposed on the indigenous people in Bahrain, and mostly either being called Baharna, and they are coming from very, very rooted families and many tribes in the Arabian Peninsula, and they've been discriminated very, very badly by ruling family currently. So as everyone knows, that there is a very clear articles within the human rights declarations of human rights are imposing any type of discrimination. In the same time, the Human Rights Convention of Civil and Political Rights are giving a clear rights to the individual citizens for self-determinations. And when we come even to the Constitution of Bahrain, 2001, the Constitution, or even 2002 Constitution, or even 1973 Constitution, both of them you can see there is, in theory, there is a condemnation of any type of discrimination. But in practice, and I can elaborate on this a little bit to find out there is a clear discrimination on the indigenous citizens, particularly Baharna, or if we can, sectarian-wise, if we can talk about, and mainly they are Shia. Here we can find out, as per statistics-wise, that for example, in the cabinet government itself, most of the key positions are being given to the ruling family members, either prime ministers, his deputies, the foreign ministry, Ministry of Interior, finance ministry, Ministry of Justice, and it continue. So more than 1/3 of the cabinet are belonging to ruling family members, and as I said, they are having and holding the key position within the cabinet. And the indigenous citizens, mainly the Shia, they are representing less than the 14% of the total of the cabinet, although they are the majority of the citizens in Bahrain. And if we talk about judiciary system, we can find out they are just representing 12%, and they are mostly are not high positions within the judges and so on. And if we come to the rest of the government bodies and the major companies and enterprises, we can find they are representing just 10% out of that. At the same time, when we see the constituencies, it is, although the majority of Baharna are representing the population of Bahrain, but constituencies is being drawn by a royal decree in a way that they can have minority seats when it comes to the representative of House of Representatives. They can have the minority seats. An example, any constituencies where Baharna are living on, in average of 16,000 voters, they can have one representatives, and the rest they're going to have just maybe 500, 600 voters, they can have one representatives. In this case, I can focus now mostly on the most recommendations which should be adopted by an international committee. There is a plan by the government to change the demography of Bahrain by increasing the nationality of many foreigners. We have statistics that within 10 years, more than 100,000 foreigners being given citizenships. In comparison, those who are indigenous and original Bahrainis and natives, their nationalities been stripped, and most of them even forcibly been exiled. So it is the role of the international committee now to, first of all, to give strong recommendations to the United Nations bodies, human rights councils, that such discrimination to be stopped, and meanwhile that Bahrain should be accomplished a very better reforms in Bahrain, and human rights reforms should be part of their obligations, where we can discuss that one details because Bahrain is part of the Human Rights Council. In the same time, there should be stopping any type of these human rights violations when the UPR discussion is there, and implementation of the BICI, Bahrain Independent Commission inquiry, to be made as soon as possible, which was submitted to the King in 2011. Additional, all the recommendation which is part of the previous UPR 2012, which was 176 recommendation, unfortunately not be implemented, to be implemented. Within a month, we're going to have the review of Bahrain UPR. We wish that international community, NGOs, do their acts and try to pressure their countries to find out that Bahrain going to be more serious, to have serious, not just human rights reform, even political reform by freeing all prisoners of conscience, and at the same time starting a dialogue and negotiation with the opposition to start a new era instead of continuing in this type of the human rights violations and oppression. Thank you very much.